Hi crafty friends, Candace Gillespie here with Candace's Canvases. Today I am going to show you cards 2 and 3 of my Masculine Valentine cards series. So here is a quick sketch of kind of what I did. I wanted to get that in there, make sure you can see kind of how my brain works. Anyway, if you wanted to follow along with me on any of my social media links, check out the description bar below. That includes my mailing address if you're a happy mailer or whatever. And okay, so let's start. I just cut a craft cardstock base in half to make a side folding card. I'm cutting out some white panels. So my card is just a regular A2 size, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So my white card panels for the inside and the outside are going to be 4 by 5 1/4. So this little card is going to have a pocket. So I did that by cutting a piece of brown cardstock. I think I started at 3 by 4. And then I'm going to kind of trim that down to be my pocket. And I'll show you how I do that. First, I'm going to score the top about 1/4 of an inch. And that's going to be like the fold down of my pocket. So the top part of my pocket. I'm going to fold that down. And then here I'm just nicking about 3/4 of an inch in on either side. Then I'm going to find the center, just give it a little nick there. And then from that, where I gave it a nick on the side there to the center, I'm going to trim that down. And then I realized, oh, that's a little too thick, so I cut off 1/4 inch from either side. There we go. Next, I'm just going to glue this top fold down. I think it would be really cute if you actually sewed it down, had some stitching there. You'll see later I'm going to take a white gel pen and give it some faux stitching. And I also thought about kind of making the background look like kind of quilted or something, so it would be like it was on a shirt, or making it out of that white panel maybe the same color as my pocket, but I really wanted this pocket to stick out, like to stand out, so I didn't do any of that. And this is very easy, you don't need any stamp sets for this, it's just paper and your like pen or whatever. So I glued that down, and I glued it down on 3 sides so I can stick some hearts in there. Then I'm going to glue that panel down to my card base, leaving my even borders all the way around. And I thought I had a bigger heart, and I did heart punch, and I found it later. But I ended up going with a bunch of little hearts, but my vision was like a bunch of different size hearts to put in this pocket. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. Here I'm just doing some faux stitch lines all around the pocket, and then along the top of that pocket seam, and then where that pocket seam would end. And then I'm going to take this black Sharpie marker and do faux stitching all the way around this front panel. And I cut it out, and here I am finishing. And then this is going to be the inside panel, so just gluing that in. This is a fine liner glue bottle that I got off of Amazon. I oftentimes will leave the link down below in the description bar. And then the glue I'm using is PVA Glue. It's glue that's made for paper. I trust it, so I haven't had a problem with it yet. So like I said earlier, the only punches I could find were these tiny heart punches, but it did the job perfectly. I ended up punching way more than this out to fill up kind of this top part of my pocket. But this is just what I decided to keep in, so you can get a hint of what I'm doing here. And I'm just running those all along the top, kind of piling them on there. And my vision originally was to pile a bunch of different sized hearts, but this totally worked out fine. It filled that vision enough, you know. So that's the front, very simple. Now the inside, I'm gonna hand write my message. And to do that, I'm gonna bring in a ruler and just kind of write gently and very lightly, draw a couple lines so I can make sure that what I'm writing is mostly straight, and you'll see that it turns out not so straight because I wrote outside of those lines. I'm kind of going with the flow here, so whatever my brain thinks of is what I'm doing. So it says, with all my love, Valentine, and Valentine was not in my ledger lines, and so it kind of went up to the right a little bit, but I'm not bothered by that one bit. I guess if that would bother you, you can cut out another white panel and put it over this, and then redraw your ledger lines, and then redo it. Then I put that faux stitching on the inside as well. And then here I'm going to do some faux calligraphy, and the way you do that is just on all the down strokes, you just draw a parallel, mostly parallel line along that, and then you color that in, and then it makes it look like calligraphy. To finish off the inside sentiment, I'm just going to punch out one more of those little red hearts, and I'm going to glue it down on the right side of this sentiment here. And then of course I got to stamp the back, but I cut that out of the video. So here's the finished card. It's just a little pocket overflowing with hearts, letting your Valentine know that you love him with all your heart, with all of your love. So here, card 3 was another simple, no stamps needed card using these distress spray stains and just some time. And I did forget to press start on my camera, so this is me redoing the front panel staining. I'm using broken china, cracked pistachio, walnut stain, and this citron, I can't think of the name, twisted citron. And I'm just cutting a card front base to be 4 by 5 1/4. Then I'm going to spray on my craft mat each of these colors in whichever pattern suits your fancy. I really didn't have too much of a rhyme or reason. I knew I wanted that contrasting brown in there amongst all those lighter colors. And that's how it turned out. See that darker pooling on the left side there? I'm totally fine with that. It didn't bother me at all. Now for the inside of the card, my example here didn't work well, but you'll see in the finished card that it did work well. Before it was totally dry, I dabbed the inside card panel over this, and so it just picked up enough color to bring the outside of the card in. And so here I'm picking up with where I left off, so you could see the inside of the panel there. And this is where I finally realized, dang it, I wasn't filming this whole time. So all I did is I took some brown cardstock and I folded it in half and I cut a heart out of it just like you did in 3rd grade. And then I'm using the negative as a stencil there along the right half of the card. And then I'm taking some Walnut Distress Oxide over this kind of dark chocolatey brown cardstock and just running that along the edges. And then this, oh, I can't remember the name of this color green, but it's also the Distress Oxide ink, and just running that along the edges, not around all of the edges, just enough to kind of give it some character. And then I'm just roughly tearing up this paper. I kind of feel a scratchy throat, like a cold is coming on. It's not good. Not good at all. I feel like mamas should be exempt from being sick. Don't you agree? Here Jacob snuck in a little scribble on my card front while I was ripping that up, so I'm going to erase that real quick. Sticking some foam adhesive to the back. Going to distress the outside of this little ripped up green banner with the same 2 inks that I did the heart with. And I didn't film this, but you can see in the pictures that follow that I ended up taking that same black Sharpie that I used earlier, and I just outlined each of these pieces because they looked a little flat to me. Here I'm saying, color on this, Jacob. You'll see, anyway, the lines that I'm talking about in the pictures that follow. And just peeling that off and kind of have a rough little embellishment there that I stuck right on top. And here is my inside card panel. And this little green piece, it looked like a heart, so I went with it and I used it for the inside. And all I'm going to do is freehand Be Mine. And for those of you who don't love your handwriting, number 1, nobody's thinking about your handwriting except you. Number 2, your handwriting is special to your loved one. I remember watching my dad write, or my husband writing, and it's something so sweet. And my husband has horrible handwriting. I mean, I cannot read it, but I love handwritten letters from him because they mean so much to me. And so your handwriting on these cards is going to be so perfect and special. So just go for it. Or if you have a stamp, do that too. It doesn't matter. But, you know, be brave, be brave. Kind of get outside of your comfort zone. And that sums up the 3rd card of this Masculine Valentine. I keep wanting to say Valentine's Day. I think it's Valentine Day. Oh, geez. Valentine card series. So, thanks so much for watching. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video and leave a joyful comment. And we'll talk again soon. Bye.